Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Frenemies, joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox. David, just me and you this week, buddy. So, David,
Back
before
like
we
it
get
used to
rolling,
be.
yeah, this feels like the old times here. We've had a pretty good run on guests here, and we'll have a few more coming up here soon. But there's going to be a little stretch there where it's just me and you because we're going to get into some Hall of Fame coming up soon, and we're going to get into a couple more trivias. And then I was looking at it, man, and then by that time, maybe we throw in a guest or two, and then we're going to have to start hitting the previews again. So we're going to be pretty close to the end here as far as these off-season ones go, and back into where we started with previews, and that was a lot of fun. So I look forward to doing that again. And
Yeah.
But as always, David, here it is. I got to
Ryan,
ask you, David. I got to ask you, did you try it on the turkey?
No, I haven't. But I'm gonna tell you what, old Ryan Coffee had my mouth watering a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the smoked turkey with the white sauce on it, it's the best. And if you haven't tried it, you've got to get you some. I need to reorder. As a matter of fact, I'm out, so it's time to definitely do that. And if you want to preview what it's going to be like, Ryan Coffee I thought was one of our best anyway commercials. I could literally taste it as he was talking about it. So if you haven't tried just some white sauce, call up Coach Hall, get you some, thewhitesauce.org, or on Facebook. You won't regret it. Good stuff.
Yeah, I did try it on the turkey. To me, white turkey just plain by itself is not that intriguing. You put a little gravy on it, it's good, but definitely with the white sauce. On leftover day on Saturday, that's even better when you have it on leftovers.
Wait a minute. Leftover day?
Yeah.
What about leftover week?
Yeah.
Come on, man. We actually did just finish off our leftovers really yesterday. But dude, I love Thanksgiving leftovers. I ate my weight in sweet potato casserole, man. It's the bomb. You eat that?
Oh no.
DJ, I would rather have that than dessert, man. I'm not even
No.
kidding. You can keep pumpkin pie.
Oh, you can keep that. That's for sure.
Whatever normal desserts people eat, I want sweet potato casserole. What's wrong with you?
That's the thing you look forward to the most on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Oh.
What do they eat in Canada for dessert?
Man, for desserts, pie. Pie is the thing, like French
Some
silk,
sort of pie?
pumpkin, apple, just a big mix of all kinds of different pies. And I'm not really a pie guy, I'm not going to lie to you. So unless it's like something really bad for you, I'm not a big fan. So I don't really eat too much dessert on Thanksgiving. But man, I don't know. I don't understand how you could, of all the things that you could eat on. Ugh. Man.
DJ, you just haven't had it right. Y'all don't know how to do it up north, man. Sweet potato casserole is like candy. You get them, I guess it's pecans on top. Oh, man. I want some right now. I'm only going to eat it like twice a year, but I'm telling you, I could eat my weight in it. I can make myself sick on it.
I look forward to biscuits and butter more than I would that, man.
Oh,
that's gross.
Overrated.
What's wrong with you? Well, yeah.
This time, by the next episode, DJ, I will have some white sauce.
You will.
I may have to break out a turkey to try it out on.
You need to, man, because that white turkey, that's what this is the best on it, if you ask me. I think that's what we obviously had it on the most, and, man, that's good stuff. But, yeah, I forgot it on Thanksgiving Day, but then we went back to the in-laws on Saturday, and Cole's sister came down, and we had leftovers, and I had it there, and it was good, man. Thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. Everything is advertised, so good stuff, my man. All right, David, so we're going to jump into it here. Some off-season stuff going on. We're going to get into a lot tonight, but we're going to begin with the Rookie of the Years from this year were mentioned. And David, man, I got to start in the National League here. So we had Joe Friend on, and Joe Friend picked this, if you remember. We all three had different candidates that we picked for National League Cy Young, and Joe got it right. He picked the winner, Devin Williams of the Brewers.
Rookie of the year, right?
Rookie of the year. Yep.
Yep.
So now here's the thing, David. This kind of leads me into something here that we talked about in a previous podcast. So if we're giving middle relievers Rookie of the Year awards, one of the big four awards, we've got to start considering these guys for the Hall of Fame a little bit, right? I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I don't know, man. It's kind of weird, man. I don't know. I've never seen a middle reliever win Rookie of the Year.
Well, on the Hall of Fame thing, I will say that it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of the game. The Josh Haders of the world who are going 2 and 3 innings. So I think in the future, we can start considering that a little more. But most middle relievers end up becoming closers anyway. If you're that good, you end up becoming a closer anyway. Again, a la Josh Hader. So I'm not sure that we'll be talking about specifically middle relievers as Hall of Famers as much as we'll be talking about middle relievers who became closers who are Hall of Famers. But I don't know how you could argue with Devin Williams. To be honest with you, when Joe mentioned that, it just went over my head. It's not someone I even really considered, but DJ, 1 run in 27 innings, and that 1 run came on his second appearance. The dude was lights out, and as much as I loved Alec Bohm, I think that's who I chose. I can't argue with this. I really can't. I know this is kind of hard to swallow maybe a little bit for some more traditional guys like ourselves, but you know, in Bohm's case, he really didn't play a whole season either. Only 160 at-bats. The third place winner was Cronenworth, who happened to have the most wins above replacement, to be honest with you. But a lot of that was based upon fielding, ability to play multiple positions. I can't argue with it. What do you say?
I was on Cronenworth, man. I thought he deserved it. I thought, like you said, all the logistics of him playing defense, all the, mix of his bat and his defense, I thought, everyday player. I just have a hard time. I don't know. I'm not a pitcher. I'm not really. I'm a little harder on pitchers for Hall of Fame. I'm a little harder on pitchers for awards like this. I don't know, man. I agree with you. You cannot argue the numbers. Those are phenomenal. If you're telling me that I can get a guy who can go 27 innings and only give up 1 earned run, I'll sign up for that every day. Man, it's interesting, though. If he was that dominant, man, towards the end there for Milwaukee, Hader kind of was up and down a little bit. He had a little decision to make there, but I think like we talk about with managers, the egos of the players that you have on your team, sometimes you don't want to mess with that, and you end up hurting yourself because if this guy was our closer, man, I think they would win more ball games.
There's talk that, especially with the financial conditions across the league, that maybe Hader's available because of Devin Williams. And, honestly, I could see that. It's going to get to the point where the Brewers can't pay him. I feel like the Brewers are far away, although Craig Counsell manages to keep them around probably more than they should be. So, if I'm in the Brewers' shoes, I think I saw where Hader's scheduled to make about $5 million this year, which is really a bargain for him. You could get 2 or 3 really good prospects for him right now. Wouldn't you have to think about it?
How is Josh Hader only making $5 million a year? Wow. Oh my goodness.
He's young, and I think he's still got, a couple more years of arbitration eligibility, which obviously that price is going to continue going up.
Yeah.
But I think if you're the Brewers, you have to start thinking about it. It seems like those relievers sometimes have short lives in the league. We can name all kinds of guys like that, Eric Gagne, guys like that who were studs and then they were gone. If I'm the Brewers and I got Devin Williams sitting there, I have to think about trading Josh Hader if I feel like I'm far away. And honestly, I feel like they're far away.
Yeah, it would make sense for them to. I think they could get a lot for Hader, like you said. I really do. I think kind of like how when the Cubs got Chapman, they gave Torres up and one of the top prospects in the game. And if you got a contender that wants Josh Hader really bad, the price is going to be up there, man. And I think the Brewers are in a spot where they need that bad, and that would be a great move for them. Their bullpen is strong. They got a really strong bullpen, and with the emergence of Williams, they're even stronger. And you can afford to get rid of Hader, and like you said, the price is only going to climb. So, man, that'd be a good move for them. I really believe that. And plug some holes, man. Sell why he's still got it, and
Yeah.
in a couple more years he may not have it anymore, and then he's not worth much. So, good point, man, for sure.
Yep. A lot of teams need closers too, man. A lot of teams, bullpen has become such a big thing. So I think they would have a big market for him.
I agree, man. So, congratulations, Devin Williams. Yeah, we both missed that one. Joe got it. Good call on his part. That was a tough one to pick who was going to win that. Do you have the numbers in front of you of what the points were on that? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he kind of ran away with it, really. I think he got a lot of the votes, which surprised me a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, he deserved it. He it's hard to argue, but it's just crazy. The middle reliever won Rookie of the Year, man. That's very rare. I don't know if it's ever happened, to be honest with you, but that's just the way it is sometimes in this day and age that we're in with baseball right now. So, moving on to the American League, David. This one was Kyle Lewis of the Mariners. And I'll tell you what, David, I seen the Mariners play probably 2 times this year. I kind of just recorded them to just check them out and see how they were and watched them late at night. And I'll tell you what, man, Kyle Lewis stood out to me. He really did. As a fellow center fielder, I can read how these guys are reading the ball in center field pretty well, man. And he's got it. He really does. Stud defensively, which I think was huge for him. He hit a good year. 11 bombs, 28 ribbies, 262 batting average, 54 hits. He came out of the box really fast, and he slowed down towards the end a little bit there. At the beginning of the year, it seemed like he was going to run away with this award, no doubt. But he left the door open for Luis Robert, and Robert was right there with him, but they went with Lewis on this one. And I know you thought it was going to be Robert, and I think I picked this one for sure. But yeah, good season overall for him.
Yeah, honestly, Robert doesn't go in that big slump. The last couple of weeks of the season, it's his. I mean, he actually had more wins above replacement again. Robert won a Gold Glove, but those last 2 weeks just killed him. They had the same amount of home runs, but Robert hit about 20 points lower. I can't argue with Kyle Lewis, but I'm not sure you could argue with going with Robert either. Both of them good players. Those White Sox are looking good, DJ. I was looking at them again today, buddy. They're looking good. They got the young talent. It's time to spend some money. Go for it. So, anyway, Kyle Lewis, I can't argue with it. The Mariners are on the upswing, too. I think they're a little further away, maybe a couple years away. I don't see them spending a lot in free agency this year. I'd be surprised. But as long as their general manager doesn't decide to trade all of them next year, he's famous for making these weird moves. I've never been a fan. I can't think of his name right now. He used to be with the Angels. But they've got a lot of good young talent, man. They ripped the Mets off when they traded Edwin Diaz. So they got some talent in the pipeline. The Mariners are going to be exciting. I think all they need to do maybe is get some pitching. They got some good outfield prospects, some good infield prospects. So Mariners are going to be fun to watch. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with real soon.
Baseball is in a better spot, I believe, when the Mariners are good too. Remember back when we were teenagers, man, and those teams that they had. That was a lot of fun to watch. When I know one of their most famous games, obviously, was against the Yankees, so that probably hurt a little bit for you. But when they're good like that, man, it just seems better for baseball. It really does. Seattle's one of those parts of the of America that you just kind of root for a little bit there up in the northwest part, and got the Mariners. They lost the Supersonics, which still hurts them to this day, so they don't got very much up there. And for them to have something to root for with baseball is definitely something big up there. But they got the future bright, man. Kyle Lewis is someone to build around. He's a really good ball player, man. And, they got Seager there too, and he's kind of become their face of the franchise there, which is kind of crazy to think. But those guys are good, man. And like you said, their farm system's loaded, so Seattle could be a force to be reckoned with here in a few years, no doubt. So good point on that. So manager of the year, David. These were kind of no-brainers. I think we both nailed these on the head. And this goes back to, you can tell that they made the picks before the playoffs because Kevin Cash won in the American League. And, we're just going to kind of avoid where he did in the World Series, because we've talked about that a bunch. But regular season wise, this is a no-brainer. This guy was awesome. He's still a great manager. He made a bad call in the World Series, obviously, but every manager makes bad calls, and this one was just a little bit more on a bigger stage, obviously, and a little more intense, but still a great regular season that the Rays ran away with the American League. They won, by far they had the best record in the American League, and he had come close many times, and he had won it there. So fantastic season for Kevin Cash, well deserved. He's done a great job in Tampa with with his 16 different position players he uses and his stable bullpen and just all kinds of craziness. They got a good starting rotation, and he made it all work this year, man, and definitely deserved it.
So, DJ, I can't really argue with Cash. A $73 million payroll team ended up winning the American League, and we're real close to winning the World Series. But one thing that bothers me about this, and I've been on this train for a while, but our second place manager got fired. It just wears me out, man. Rick Renneria, poor Rick Renneria, brings his team from worst to first or whatever, the biggest improvement of any team out there. No one expected the White Sox to make the playoffs. No one. And the dude gets fired. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even at the award show, which is kind of sad. I don't think he wanted
100%.
anything to do with it. He stayed away from it. I think he knew that Cash was going to win it, so he didn't even want to be a part of it. I don't blame him. That's a tough situation to be in, no doubt, as a manager. And I do feel terrible for him. I'm not going to lie to you. Him losing his job because we got Joe Madden here with the Cubs, and now he's out for Tony La Russa. So he got pretty much ousted by 2 Hall of Fame managers, really. So it's a tough spot for him to be in, no doubt. I hope he lands somewhere. He seems to be a really good guy, and he's good for the Hispanic young ball players. So no doubt he was really good with them as well. So I don't know, man. That's tough. It just seems like he has the worst luck for sure, man, in his managerial career. And he's a good manager, and I just kind of, I do feel sorry for him a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
No. So on the National League side, DJ, my boy Don Mattingly wins it. Again, I can't really argue with it. Biggest improvement. That team shouldn't have even smelled the playoffs, and yet they were there. And I can't name still to this day half their roster. And so I was super pumped. Mattingly was my favorite player growing up. Just a lot of great memories. Those teams he was on were bad. So really the only thing you had to root for was Don Mattingly on those teams. And so I thought it was super cool that he won that award. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wanted him in New York when they went through the last managerial change. But I'm super glad that he won it. It was cool to see him do that.
My boy David Ross finished 3rd in the voting. Great season by him. Fantastic.
DJ. How is Brian Snitker not ahead of David Ross? Now, you explain this to me. This is just in all honesty. His whole rotation got hurt, all of them, and yet he takes his team to the AL or NLCS. How is David Ross ahead of him? Explain that one to me.
Because Josh Hill and Lee Salyers were voters this year.
They must have been. It's a travesty. I think you could actually make a case that Snitker may have should have won. Now, again, I'm on Mattingly's team here. He's my guy. But who dealt with more adversity than Brian Snitker? And yet he put his team there. No offense to David Ross, but me and you both picked the Cubs to possibly win their division and to go deep into the playoffs. That was no surprise. Come on, man.
I don't know, man. I think Ross, fell where he should have fell on this. He's a rookie manager, and he led his team they got out to a 13-3 start with a rookie manager. So he did a great job there. He led them to the playoffs. Obviously, looking on it now, they lost to the Marlins, so they lost to Mattingly yet again. But Don Mattingly, man, he deserved it. Like you said, I love Don Mattingly too. Growing up, he's one of those guys that you get his baseball card, you were excited about it. But man, what a job he did. This isn't even close. Like
No, it's
Snicker,
really not.
Tisberger for Padres, Ross. The Padres were loaded, and I think he's the GM of the year. He just gave the manager pretty much, here's everybody, take this. Look at this
Yeah.
Cadillac I gave you. That's all on him. The general manager was awesome, but no, this is completely Don Mattingly. All the things they had to go through this year. He didn't even know. He didn't even know half of his roster. No clue. They had to wear name tags. Like, what is this? It's crazy, man. Unbelievable. They're wearing name tags, trying to learn each other's names, and hey, man, you got to pitch today. I don't even know who you are, but you got to go out there and throw for us. And unbelievable.
They were signing everybody's AAA cast off there for about 2 weeks and throwing them out there and still winning. Like it's unbelievable.
Wow. It was awesome, man. I got to hand it to him. I mean, Don Mattingly, it just, had a couple really cool things happen to him this year. Became the all-time leader in Marlins managerial wins in history, which is cool. I don't care if you're just there for longevity. That's part of it. You got to be there for a long time. You got to be trusted. So he's number one all-time for him, and he won manager of the year. So great year for him. Got a playoff victory with a team that nobody even knew of. Just an outstanding year. Young pitching there he's got now. Moving forward, man, those guys are going to be good, and we'll see. We'll see how the GM does. I'm not too sure about that one, but
yeah. Hey, sly move though today. Just to be honest with you, I don't know if you saw that. Just the Marlins had the fourth worst bullpen. They picked up Simber from Cleveland for basically nothing.
Okay.
Sly move. I'm telling you, man, the Marlins are trying to make moves. I'm like you. I'm a little skeptical on the GM situation, but if you put good people around her, maybe this works out. And I'm sure she does have good people around her. They basically got all of the Yankees brass from the 2000s there right now. Seriously, like all of them. So you put good people around her. She's obviously very smart. I remember her being in the running for several high-profile GM jobs. I believe she was with the Dodgers at one point and with the Giants when they were winning. So, maybe that works out. A very interesting move on their part. I think at this point the Marlins would do anything to get a butt in the seat. So that may have had something to do with it as well.
I wonder, David, a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully in April we'll find out. They let fans back in the ballparks. I would love to see how some of the fan bases that have been struggling over the years. I would hope that they would go up, and fans would come back and missing it maybe, and they'd come up, and I don't know. I hope that's the case, man. I hope a lot more fans come to these ballparks, these teams that are struggling to get them in the seats, and I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. But along those lines, man, David, I got to tell you something, man. So I looked into this because I was just curious. So the White Sox season tickets, listen to me for a second. This is crazy. You want one bleacher seat in the White Sox field there for the whole season, all 81 home games, $950 is all you will spend for season tickets.
I might be in on that.
$950, David, and
wow.
You can have one seat in the bleachers for 81 games, David. Now, I didn't break that down. Probably I don't know. I'm not a math major. $12 a game, maybe. But that's probably what it rounds about to, something like that. That's unbelievable. And if you want to sit in the nosebleeds, I think it's even cheaper, or maybe just a little bit. I don't want to sit in the nosebleeds, but I'll sit on the bleachers for $950 or whatever. I love that spot anyway, but I cannot believe that. You can probably go to
I was in the area
games for that, man. That's crazy.
If I was in the area, I'd be signing up for that. Seriously, that team. No, all joking aside, they got an exciting team, man. That team, should be favored to make the playoffs, depending on who they sign. They got some holes to fill, so it'd be cool just to be in any team's playoff run, any of them. You know what I mean? To be able to sit there and watch some of those players and the teams coming in and the rivalries. Man, I'd be signing up for that. That's awesome. I'm not sure that you could get a season ticket. I'm not being facetious at our minor league park for that. I'm not kidding. That's crazy to me.
It's unbelievable, man.
Wow.
I'll show you later on, and I'll have to text it to you. I was blown away, really, to be honest with you. And obviously the only thing about that is if you buy one, you don't want to go by yourself, so you kind of forced to buy the second set, which that makes it a little tougher. But you just like think about how if you were like a single guy and you didn't have a family or anything, oh my goodness, man, I'd be there like every day. I mean, seriously, just to watch baseball, like who wouldn't do that, Like go watch the random teams coming in, and I mean, you get the Cubs games too, obviously, when they cross over. So the Cubs games alone they go for $150 a pop. Some of those spots in those games. So it's crazy, man. I mean, if you're out there and you're looking for cheap entertainment, man, go to the White Sox. I'm serious about this, man. You can get 10-game plans, 20-game plans. Those are cheap too. And man, it's very intriguing. I'm not going to lie to you. Pretty cool to see that. But I'm thinking about it. I'm not, not for sure on that one, but we'll see.
You get the former coach discount.
Yeah. I'll have to look into that. Hey, yeah. He'd be like, who are you again?
I'm going to do some scouting for him.
Yeah. That would be fun. I would absolutely love being a scout for a year or two, probably. Just to see that end of the baseball world would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
All right, David. So we had a few guys pass away. We're going to get to here. I believe you had Lindy McDaniel. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. So I honestly had never heard of this guy. He had a great career. He was a good closer on a bunch of bad teams.
Yeah.
And so, you may not have heard of him. He won 141 games. He was a closer the whole time, 174 career saves. He actually got MVP votes twice. He got Cy Young votes once. I'm sorry. Played for St. Louis, Chicago, San Francisco, New York, and Kansas City. And something, just as a side note I want to mention here, when I Googled his name, an article came up that talked about how active he was in his church and how active he was in church when he was a ball player. And if you know anything about that lifestyle, man, for the strongest Christian, that would had to have been hard to do. And it had an article written by a guy who at this point is 72. When he was about 12 years old, he ran into Lindy at his church. Came back the next week, had him a signed baseball that had guys like Stan Musial on it. It was obviously at St. Louis, and just talked about what a great guy he was, how active and how faithful he was. And again, just knowing that lifestyle, how they travel, the temptations that are out there, I thought that was really cool to read about him. And I read a couple really great stories. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan. Everybody knows that. He played for the Yankees, again, on some not very good teams, the late 60s, early 70s. But a couple stories that stood out. In 1968, they played the Tigers, who that year was the World Series champions. He came in the game in the ninth in a tie ball game, and this is how closers were used back in the day, and pitched 7 perfect innings, DJ. 7 perfect innings, and he didn't get the win. The Yankees couldn't hit at that point. They ended up losing the game, but 7 no-hit perfect innings.
Wow.
Another cool fact, this one just blows my mind. In 1973, the Yankees had a pitcher go down in the first inning. Lindy came in and pitched, listen to this, DJ, 13 innings. 13 innings.
Goodness.
Didn't get the win, by the way. And then last cool fact, he actually was the last Yankees pitcher to hit a homer. So great career. Just some really cool, fun facts about him.
Wait a minute. Oh, I guess I'm sorry. That makes sense. Okay. I keep forgetting pitchers don't hit in the American League.
Right. And honestly, I had to rack my brain a little bit because the Yankees actually had some pitchers that could hit. You think about CC Sabathia.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Pettit, if I'm not mistaken, was a pretty decent hitter. And we did have interleague play there for a minute. But according to the article that I read, which was just printed in the last couple weeks, he hit the last Yankees home run from a pitcher. So
Wow.
really cool, man. I really enjoyed reading about him. And born and bred and died in Oklahoma, but just great career. So rest in peace to Lindy McDaniel.
Very cool to hear. And I actually threw him your way because I knew he was legit, man. This guy was good, and he played for the Yankees, so I had to have you drop in on that one for sure, man. I read a lot about him too, just because he was really good, and it blows me away the amount of wins that he had as a reliever, David. That's crazy, man. I wonder, and I didn't get a chance to look at it, but wonder how many, where that ranks all time among relievers as far as wins go. It's got to be up there. I mean, who has that many wins as a relief pitcher? That blows my mind. And to go with the combination of saves that he had, what a career, man. That guy was a phenomenal baseball player. And I did not know about his faith. That's really cool too, man, because like you said, man, we see Christians fall in this league a lot, with the temptations, and that's really cool to see that he stuck strong and lived a good life, man, no doubt, for sure. Very cool, man. Good stories for sure.
So who did you have?
I had Rick Baldwin, 1975, 76, and 77 with the Mets. Right-handed pitcher. Best season was in 75. He was 3-5 with a 3.33 ERA. For his career, he was 4-7 with a 3.60 ERA, 86 Ks, and 182 innings pitched. So not a very long career. Just a little cup of coffee with the Mets here. He died at the age of 67 due to COVID. He was a pastor as well. Him and his wife ended up being a pastor at a St. John's campus. So he Catholic priest, I believe he came. I'm not sure exactly what religion he was, but in 1971, he was his conference MVP for his high school, so that's pretty cool. Player of the year, 7-1 with a 0.35 ERA his senior year in high school. Very cool. After the Mets traded Tug McGraw to the Phillies, that's actually a very big trade, David, if you'll remember. Tug McGraw going to the Phillies, who was on the mound when the Phillies won the World Series in 1980, Tug McGraw. So for them trading Tug McGraw to the Phillies, Rick is the guy who stepped in for him on the Mets. So that was kind of cool to see that. He took his place after Tug went on to win the World Series with the Phillies. He played for Yogi Berra. That's also another cool thing. Yogi was the manager of the Mets at that time too. So Rick, was under Yogi in all those years, and he bounced between being a starter, a reliever, and a closer. So he had all three roles in his career during those 3 years. He did all three of them. For Yogi he liked him as starter sometimes, liked him as a closer sometimes. He kept bouncing him around, and whatever the team needed from him on that role, he was willing to do and did a good job. So rest in peace to Rick, man. Short career there, but definitely an awesome one. And then my next guy, Dan Pfister, Kansas City Athletics righty from 1961 to 64. So not a very long career either. Career 6-19 record, 4.87 ERA, 250 innings pitched, 29 career starts, 156 Ks. So another guy with a cup of tea in the majors. He died at the age of 83, just from complications of, just being a little bit older. And he was also a Hall of Fame softball player, which is kind of cool to see. Hall of Fame softball player and made it into the pros as a major leaguer. So that's pretty rare to see that. After a 10-5 season for a bad high school team, Dan went into semi-pro, where he was 34-3 on his semi-pro team in 2 seasons of pitching. He also made it to the Kansas City's minor leagues after that. He pitched for a bit and then served in the U.S. Army from 1959 and 1960. He lost both those seasons serving in the Army, which, like we talked about before, man, these guys that lose service time, very cool that he not only was a baseball player but served his country. Got a lot of respect for those guys. In September of 61, the Pfister finally got his call to the MLB. He was obviously very excited about it. His second appearance against the Tigers, David, he got welcomed to the league a little bit. Sluggers Rocky Covalita and Norm Cash hit bombs off of him in his second appearance. I can't imagine facing those guys, man. Those guys were studs. And just to get woken up to, hello, this is pro ball now, it had to be a little tough for him, man, to get knocked on his butt a little bit. But he climbed back. He survived it, went on to pitch 3 more years for the A's there. He ended up having arm problems and was never the same, so he couldn't get back to the show. After trying out one more time in the minors after the 64 season in 65, he just couldn't do it anymore. One of the cool things that he said in his career, even though it was a spring training game, he defeated Warren Spahn in one of the games in spring training, so he was pretty proud of that. He got a picture with Warren Spahn, obviously one of the greats, a Hall of Famer there. So that was one of his career highlights. So rest in peace, Dan Pfister. Lost 3 more again this week, man. Been a crazy year as far as former MLB guys going away. But
yeah, DJ, were both of those COVID deaths?
The first one was for sure. I did not get the cause on Pfister. I just think he was a little older at 83. I'm not sure exactly what got him. The first one definitely was, though.
Linda McDaniel was as well. He was 84, though.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know what he passed away of either. I did know he was older as well. All right, David. So we'll transition here a little bit. So why don't you go ahead and give us our little Yankees update here for our Yankees fans out there. Just kind of give us, what's been going on with them recently since the season ended. Just kind of give us a little recap of what the Yankees have been doing.
So the Yankees are in a tough spot, DJ. Rumor is they've lost close to $1 billion last year, which is not chump change, even if you're rich. And so they're saying they're going to get under the luxury tax threshold again, which I believe is $210 million, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there. Currently, their payroll sits about $171, and so you can do the math and realize they're not going to be able to sign many guys if they stay in that top tier player, specifically DJ LeMahieu. And that's going to be really tough, man. He's really been our best player the last 2 years. I fully expect them to let Sanchez go, which will save about another $5 million, $6 million somewhere in there, which would leave them with about $35 million left to spend roughly. And so I feel like they're kind of like in between a closing window and in between an opening window. This team has kind of wore out its welcome a little bit. They can't stay healthy, but they don't really have the pitching that is ready either. I mean, our lineup is great, but we got Garrett Cole and a whole bunch of just guys right now. And so, to be honest with you, if I'm in the Yankees' shoes, I'm probably going to let LeMahieu walk, take the draft pick. I'm going to sign a stopgap, either shortstop or second baseman. There's some guys out there that I think their value is going to fall because money is tight. Some guys that come to mind may be Cesar Hernandez, who had a great year last year and is a great fielding second baseman. The Yankees are trying to improve their defense. You could think about a guy like Marcus Semien, who had a down year last year, MVP caliber the year before. Maybe he might want to take 1 year to rebuild his value. And I think the Yankees are going to have to address their catching situation. Sanchez has been epically bad defensively and offensively. I think Yankee fans are tired of him. I don't think they can get much in a trade at this point, so it's probably just going to be a straight cut. And that's sad because when he's healthy and hot, he probably is the best hitting catcher in the league. And I mean, I don't even know if that's even an argument. He had 34 home runs 2 years ago. Not many catchers can do that. And again, do you take DJ LeMahieu and don't fill some of these holes? Let Higashioka be your catcher next year? Or maybe do you take Cesar Hernandez and look at signing James McCann and maybe Jaco DeRizzi? Because again, they're pitching. They've got problems, man. They've got some real problems, and they got some talent there. They got David Garcia. They've got Montgomery, who I actually am a pretty big believer in. Domingo Germán should be back next year, although they say he's fallen out of favor with Steinbrenner's, which could mean trades for him. But
yeah, that's not good.
No, if it's me, I'm keeping him. They need him. You know, he's probably just about a number 3 or 4 starter, but you need a good number 3 or 4 starter. Severino will be back hopefully in June. So they need a good number 2 or number 3 starter at the very least. And again, if you sign LeMahieu, unless you're trading Chapman or somebody, I'm not sure where that money's coming from. It's a really hard thing to figure out, man. To be honest with you, I spent the last couple of nights just fiddling around with it, just trying to figure it out. Because if you think about letting LeMahieu go, there's almost no way you can say, well, we got better. And so they're just in a really tough spot, man. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. The rumors are they're all in on LeMahieu, and I can't blame them. But I just don't see how they do anything else unless they clear some salary.
Yeah. So what do you think their chances are of – you said McCann. Do you think they're in on JT or just McCann? What do you think? Do you think that JT is a possibility for him or no?
No. Again, unless they cleared some major money or unless they're lying and they're going to bust through that threshold again, which, Steinbrenner, the new Steinbrenner regime, they don't play games, man. And so I don't think they're going to go over it. I really don't. I think they lost enough money last year to scare them. They are in New York, which has some of the tightest restrictions, which probably means no fans. If I'm owning that team or if I'm the general manager of that team, I can't recommend spending more money. I just can't do it. There's too much uncertainty. They've got the players there to win. And you know how it is, DJ. You don't need a star in every position. If they have a healthy Judge, a healthy Stanton, a healthy Glaber, Cesar Hernandez or somebody like him, Marcus Semien, will be just fine. They're playing good defense. Same with a James McCann or even a Yadi Molina has been mentioned. I'd be fine with that. To be honest with you, I would use the Braves as kind of my platform, I guess you could say. Their philosophy is my philosophy. That's what I was looking for. They've got a bunch of guys locked up. I would fill in around them with one-year guys. I would definitely be looking at guys like Adam Wainwright, to be honest with you. That would be a guy high on my list. I could sign him for 1 year. Charlie Morton would have fit perfect. That's the kind of moves that I would make, and I would try to stay under that 210.
Yeah, Odorizzi you mentioned that would be a phenomenal pickup. And then if you could pick up another guy on a 1-year deal, you'd fill a big holes I think the Yankees have are in that rotation. And if they got to get a catcher, if they're getting Sanchez, like you said, man, you mentioned a lot of very intriguing players that would fit really good there. I believe Simeon for sure too as well. It's gonna be interesting to see, man, because transitioning a little bit here, man, you're kind of in the same boat, really. The Cubs are. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I've been spending weeks trying to figure this out, David, and I'm having a really hard time with this, man, and just can't really figure it out. It's tough. I just read that they're gonna tender Chris Bryant, so they're gonna give him his money for this last year here of his contract. Whether or not that means he's gonna get traded.
That surprises me.
Yeah, John Heyman just reported it that they're gonna do that. So I'm happy with that, but that does not mean that he is not going to be traded. So it's still a possibility. I really believe it's going to happen. I just think that if they can't find the right fit, they're going to keep him. They're not just going to settle, is what I kind of feel like. They kind of got to get something back that's going to like make them do it. You know what I mean? They're not just going to give him away. It's got to be something that intrigues them very much, or they're just going to keep him for 1 more year and then let him walk, I guess. So I don't know. I can't figure this out. I'm having a hard time with it. One of the guys that I kind of want to bring up a little bit tonight, though, is Albert Almora Jr. And Albert Almora, he's kind of in a tough spot with the Cubs now since Ian Happ just emerged out of nowhere and just destroyed everything this season. Was awesome out in center field. We already got Hayward locked up, and then Ross likes to stick Schwarber out in left field for some reason. So you got those 3 guys out there. Then there's not much room for Almora, and he's been with the club for 5 or 6 years now. Came up through the system. It just kind of was tough at the end there. They kind of just threw him back in the minors in the end of the season there. And I don't know what he'd bring back in return, to be honest with you. He's shown promise in the past. His glove is amazing defensively. He's an awesome center fielder. But if he could get you a starter, man, this team is desperate need of some more starting pitching, man. And if you could use a piece like Almora to lock somebody into the 3 or 4 spot, I'd be all for it, because sometimes you got to trade your assets, and I'm not too sure that his welcome is here anymore, and that's unfortunate to say because he was a rookie on the 16 team, and he played a little role on the team that year, and I'm just trying to think of some ways that they can make this thing happen, because they're not going to spend money like the Yankees. They're trying to get under the threshold too. They've already said that, like, they're not spending. So there's got to be other ways that you fill your roster when you're in this situation. And to me, you trade Almora, you trade Contreras, you see what you can get for those guys, and then you kind of just filling around them. I'd keep everybody else. I really would. Whether or not that's a pipe dream, not realistic, I don't know. But to me, you've got 2 stud catchers, one in the minors and one that could start every day for a lot of teams, that you can just stick with those guys, see what Contreras brings back, see what Almora brings back, and go from there. Free agency, man, I don't know. I really don't. I'm not too sure what these guys are going to go after here. Certain things make sense, I read. Certain things do not make sense. I know for sure the Baez rumors, I don't believe for 1 second. I think they're building around Baez and Rizzo. I think that those are the 2 guys they stick around. It's just very weird, man. They're in a tough spot, because how do you go with all the money and the guys that they got, and you're told you can't spend more money? You kind of just got to figure it out. And it didn't work last year, you know. They're not ready to. This team's got it. Something's got to change. And you know, you've been close for the last 4 years, and it hasn't happened. And you know, we know something's going to happen, because I don't think Theo would have stepped down and gone away if he knew that this team was going to stay together. He probably would have wrote it out for 1 more year. But I think that he's gone. That kind of showed a white flag a little bit that, hey, there's going to be some changes coming in next season, and it could hurt a little bit. But I'm just kind of want to bring Almora up a little bit tonight and say, you know, maybe he's the guy that is trade bait for him that they could throw in there and see what we can get for him, and we'll go from there. But it's going to be interesting to see, man. I cannot figure this out. I don't think a lot of people can, and it's going to be very interesting, no doubt.
Do you know what their payroll is projected to be right now?
I would say 210, 215, 220.
They're going to have a tough time, man. I mean, honestly, I'm betting Almora just gets outright cut. Because I looked him up just now, made $1.5 million last year, which means he's going to get more this year, probably up closer to 2. Contreras is making 4.5 last year, probably going to be closer 5.5. Yeah, man, that's tough. You know, the Cubs do have good catching depth, so I can totally understand that. But man, you know, I think they're expecting Bryant to make around $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
Fill a lot of holes with $18 million, man. So I'm not so sure I would have done that, especially coming off the season he came off of. Like, the Yankees and the Cubs are actually in the exact same spot. They really are. Like you said, something's got to change. Something just has to change. Yep. And, you know, maybe they play it out and maybe they were right all along, can get a draft pick out of him next year. But, again, after the season he had last year, it's exactly like Gary Sanchez, you know. Are you going to pay for that again? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they are.
So, David, here's the thing. This is kind of what they've been rumored. You know, I think that it's no secret the Nationals want Chris Bryant really bad. The Nationals have been in on him for a while now. I think that's no secret. So let me give you this. Would you take Victor Robles and Carter Kieboom for Chris Bryant? Okay. Would you take their two top pitching prospects, Jackson Rutledge and Ced Cavelli? I've never even heard of this guy, but apparently they're the 2 top prospects in their pitching for Chris Bryant.
You're not getting anything for Chris. I hate to be this way, DJ. You're not getting anything for Chris Bryant unless you pay down his salary. I think if you started kicking some money, and the reason why is these teams. Let's just be honest. Chris Bryant's not an $18 million player. He's not. You know, maybe he will be, but if I'm taking a guy who hit whatever Chris Bryant hit last year and is making $18 million, you're paying his salary. This goes back to Moneyball. You're going to pay me to play him over here. I just really don't see them getting anything of any great value back. You know, maybe they get a top 10 prospect, but the guys that you mentioned, I don't see it. I wouldn't give them for him, just to be honest with you. I would just go, and if I needed a third baseman that bad, I'd go sign Justin Turner for 2 years for about half the money and not give you anything. But, Chris Bryant, I don't mean to dog on him. He's been a great player. But after the season he just had, man, paying a guy that much money, I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, the 19 season for him was not very good either. His first few years there were very awesome. Rookie of the Year, MVP, everything you can ask of in a player. He was unbelievable. But the last couple seasons, man, whew. But, maybe we got another year of him and they're just going to let him go. And, that cuts.
Well, let me ask you this question,
We'll see,
DJ. What's the chances they cut Schwarber?
It's a chance.
To me, especially if I'm keeping Chris Bryant, I'm definitely cutting Schwarber. That was $7 million last year. Probably going to be 8 or 9 this year. If you cut Schwarber, you trade Contreras, and you cut Almora. That's probably about a savings of somewhere around $14 million roughly. That makes sense to me. Schwarber been a pretty big disappointment. He hit some home runs and stuff, but I'm thinking he hit about 150 last year. Last I looked, I don't know if that ended up that way or not, but yeah. And Schwarber can't play defense. That's well known. I mean, although there's probably going to be a DH in the National League, that's the guy that I'm cutting personally. But I know, they obviously see value in him. They kept him around 38 home runs 2 years ago. But I'd rather have Chris Bryant than I would Kyle Schwarber myself.
It's tough, man. It's tough. They're in a tough spot. They really are. It's you got to make the right moves because you're at a spot, David, where, like we talked about, you could either make yourself contenders because you're right there, or you can take a step pretty far back. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with this roster, man. I'm very intrigued by it. So Cubs fans, buckle up. It's going to be a little rough here, I think, the next couple months to see what happens with some of these guys. So, all right, David, transitioning a little bit from that, just want to talk about a few guys here before we wrap it up for the night. Some of the rumors that are going around on some of these guys. David, you got anything on Trevor Bauer?
I have this sneaky suspicion, DJ, a real sneaky suspicion that he ends up with the Padres.
Wow.
He's a Southern California guy. Clevenger's went down. The Padres are in their window, and their payroll was down about $20 million from last year. Somehow, some way, I looked that up today. So that's where I'm going to bet Bauer ends up. Don't sleep on the Mets, and don't sleep on the Blue Jays either. And I heard a rumor that the Red Sox would possibly be interested in Bauer. I don't really see that for payroll concerns, but the Red Sox do need pitching in a bad way. But my prediction on Bauer would be to the Padres.
Wow. Oh, man, that's a good one, man. I did not see the Padres ones. That's breaking news to me, really. I was kind of thinking the Red Sox were going to make a huge push for him here. That's kind of what I was thinking because we talked about this. They need another ace-type pitcher, and they could be right back in it again. So I would go after him if I was a Red Sox. But, man, the Padres, good one.
Well, the only reason I think that the Red Sox won't, because that's actually where I went first when I was researching this out a little bit, because they have such an obvious need. But, DJ, they're paying guys like Dustin Pedroia, not just this year, but next. And they've got – yes, sir. And they've got JD Martinez for a couple more years. Some guys with some big contracts. Chris Sale for a couple, 2, 3, 4 more years. And I just think, again, with the climate as it is right now, if I'm the Red Sox GM, I'm not signing Trevor Bauer. Now, I'm trying to get me some pitching, but I'm not going to sign up for a $30 or $40 million contract when I still feel like we're a little bit away.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't know. They're in a tough spot, too, because I feel like if a guy like Bauer and one more would put him. So, man, yeah. I do see what you're saying.
Another team.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, another team that could really use him, but again, I don't think they'll be able to spend the money is the Angels.
Oh.
Man, Bauer would look good at the top of that Angels rotation, but you've got a $40 million player in Trout, you've got a $30-some million player in Rendon. Maybe there's still room in there somewhere, but man, the Angels could sure use him.
Ooh, I like that, man. One of those California teams, man. That Clevenger loss for the Padres.
Yeah, brutal.
And man, what a bummer. You just knew that was bad when he left that playoff game, no doubt. So, David, if you talked about LeMahieu a little bit already, so if not the Yankees, then who?
DJ, you're going to hate this. It's the Mets, man.
Yeah.
It's the Mets. I think the Mets are going to load up.
Yeah.
So Robinson Cano goes down. They just $24 million off the books. Just tailor-made for LeMahieu to go right in there and play second base for him. You could make a case for a lot of teams. I've read that the Nats are really interested. And we've talked about this. He would make a good fit for the Cubs. But I don't think that's going to happen for money reasons. So my guess is that the Mets are going to win the sweepstakes. The Yankees are going to stay out of it. And if he's not with the Mets, maybe the Nats.
Man, I could not agree with you more. I think the exact same thing. The Cubs are just a pipe dream for me. I think I would have loved to have him back, but we already made that mistake one time, and we're not going to get an opportunity to do that again. Man, they brought back Tyler Colvin for Ian Stewart and DJ LeMahieu. That was one of the worst trades the Cubs ever made in their history.
I don't even know who that is. I hate to – I think maybe if I looked him up, I might realize who that is. Who is that?
Tyler Colvin played probably the outfield for maybe 1 year, and he was already out. Like, he was not good.
Wow.
Just like a Band-Aid.
And both of the guys.
They admitted after that trade and after he got better that they didn't know who DJ LeMahieu really was at the time they traded him.
Well, Ian Stewart wasn't bad either.
No, he wasn't. He really wasn't. He played pretty good for the Rockies too there for a little while, man. And Tyler Colvin, that was bad.
Brutal, man.
Brutal.
One of the worst trades.
I'm going DJ to the Mets. I agree. Marcell Ozuna, got anything on him?
Yep. Tailor-made, buddy. Tailor-made for the White Sox. The White Sox are in their window. They got the money to spend. They just lost Edwin Encarnacion. He's going to be the White Sox DH, DJ.
Unfortunately, I agree with that as well, man. That's all the things that it's leaning towards for everything that I'm seeing, too. The White Sox aren't going to mess around, man. They're going to go for it. They're right there for an opportunity. And if Ozuna, man, you keep thinking that he's just going to fall off. Never does. He had a legit MVP case this year. He really did. If you would have gone with him, nobody would have, really blinked an eye about it. And, that he could have easily won it. And that stupid hat. Oh.
They got a natural opening. And listen, I want to go back to this. Bauer could also be a fit for the White Sox. I don't think they're going to want to be in that heavy for a pitcher. There's some other pitchers out there that are in that second tier, a little more affordable. But you put Bauer in front of Giolito, man, the White Sox and Keuchel, man, you're talking about a great playoff rotation. That would be a great one. But I don't know. I just don't know if I see the White Sox going that far in.
They have been rumored. I've heard it on the radio that they're rumored to go after Bauer too. And if they landed him and Kopech came back at 1 through 5, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah.
We gotta move on from that.
And listen, if I'm the White Sox, man, right now is when you push those chips in.
Yeah,
they got all those young players, man. Just all those young players. You got Abreu, who's going to start, headed backwards here at some point. Obviously, that's not imminent. It doesn't feel like it is anyway. You're in your window. Yeah. Now would be the perfect time to do it, man. If they were going to go all in, right now would be the perfect time.
I agree, man. We're right on that one so far. So Marcus Semien, what do you think of him? Yankees? I mean, you mentioned that already.
I think they're a possibility. My guess on him is going to be that he's going to fall to the Reds. The Reds have an opening there. Again, I think Semien's market, and I might be dead wrong on this. I don't know why I have this feeling. There's several shortstops available. I just have a feeling that he's going to fall to somebody, and maybe it's right back to the A's. But I put him with the Reds. They have a need for a player like that. I've seen rumors that heading to San Francisco. Honestly, the Phillies would be a great fit for him, where they just lost Didi. They could fit with the Yankees, but my guess is the Reds.
So I believe the Phillies are out because they are not going to spend. I believe the A's are just going to let him go because he's going to make it too much money. So, man, that Reds one's an intriguing one. I'm kind of with you on the Yankees, though. I think that they might sneak in on this because of the loss of DJ. I think he'd be a perfect fit for them at short. You slide Glaber over to second. I'm going to go with the Yankees on that one. I really do believe he's gonna end up going there. That's going to be one of the Yankees signings this offseason, which leads us to the next guy, which is JT. What's your thoughts on JT?
It's going to be the Mets, man. Now, I've heard rumors that he did not want to go to New York, and so maybe that's a thing. I can understand those sentiments, to be honest with you, but money talks. And, like you said, the Phillies are going to be out. You start thinking about the places that he could go, and you start getting pretty slim pretty fast. The Nationals could be players there. But you get much past those couple of teams, who's going to be willing to spend that much money on a catcher? So I'm going to stick with the Mets. I think the Mets are going to be a force to be reckoned with next year.
So we'll break some news here for you. The Phillies are out, man. They are not going to re-sign JT. That's almost 100% guaranteed. They lost a ton of employees this offseason, which saddens me very much that baseball is kind of in the state it's in right now with getting rid of employees of teams. And they just kind of said that we're trapped, we're not going to spend, and you have to spend to get the best catcher, arguably, in baseball. So they are not going to keep him. He's gone for sure. But I don't know where he's going, man. This is the one that gets me because he's going to demand a lot of money. And those are ones you mentioned are definitely in the mix, I believe. But I believe there's some teams out there that we're just not hearing about that are in for him, man. And I don't know how you couldn't be. That guy is amazing. Who wouldn't want him on their team? Some teams that have some money to play with, this would be the guy to go get. So I believe that he's got a lot of teams after him. I would say about 10 teams that could sweep in to get JT here, man, to be honest with you. And one of the most intriguing free agents there is.
The hot rumor right now is the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, it would make them a lot better. I just don't see them outspending the Mets. I just don't see it. And again, we talk about windows. We've talked about that a lot today. The Blue Jays are close. They're close. I'm not sure they're 100% in their window, but they're close. And JT Realmuto and be a cornerstone piece. I just don't know if they can outbid the Mets. It's just going to depend on how attached to the money he is. I think the Mets are going to outspend everybody. The Mets, I read today, have $80 million to spend this year, DJ. $80 million.
Are you kidding me?
And still be under the luxury tax.
Wow.
So they can thank Brody Van Wagenen for one thing. He somehow got them there. I know $24 million of that is Robinson Cano. But anyway, they have $80 million to spend. It's crazy.
Robinson Cano can pack his bags as far as I'm concerned. You get rid of that 24. I would have cut him immediately after that, to be honest with you. And just parted ways with him. But, man, I did not know they had that much to spend. Man, you brought up the Blue Jays, which brings up my next guy because this is where I think he's going. George Springer to the Blue Jays.
That's where I have him as well.
Man, I see this. This one might really happen, man. The Blue Jays are going to make a little noise. They're going to get – I think the Blue Jays are just trying to get there every year. You know what I mean? Like, it took a step making the playoffs. They've got young talent. So you're kind of in a situation where you can do this. You don't need to overload right away and then regret contracts. You kind of just keep adding pieces to this mix, and then eventually you're going to be really good if you can lock up the young guys. So you had a guy like George Springer in there, man. I think it'd be a perfect fit for him in the outfield. Oh, they need one bad in center to go with your boy Teoscar out there in the outfield. No doubt. Latest rumors that have the Mets on them too, man. Like you said, the Mets are all over everybody, and I see why now with $80 million to spend. Blue Jays are the front runner for some reason, but the Mets could sweep in there and give him more money. He's 31 years old, 3-time All-Star, 4 seasons over 70 ribbies. In 2019, he had 39 bombs, 96 ribbies, 292. So, yeah, man, he would fit perfect there. What a great ball player. Good defensively as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. A couple other places he could land. The Red Sox are going to need a center fielder. Again, it just depends on how much of that money they want to spend. I don't think they have that much to spend, but that's been rumored as a possibility. But, man, the Mets could be loaded. It's going to be interesting.
Wow, that kind of blew my mind, man. Breaking news there: $80 million, and Mets have to spend. That's why they're on every single one of these guys' list. I've been looking at the Mets and the Blue Jays on a ton of these guys, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
the Mets make sense, but the Blue Jays do too. So, Justin Turner, David, got anything on him?
I just can't see the Dodgers letting him go. I really can't. Now, I've read a bunch of crazy Dodger rumors, crazy stuff. Nolan Arenado,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of that going around. He wants out really bad. Obviously, the Dodgers have the money and the prospects to get him there. I don't know why you would move on from Justin Turner. The salary projection that I saw for him was 2 years at $24 million. Still produces great, still plays great defense. I couldn't think of a fit other than the Dodgers, to be honest with you.
100% agree. Unless you trade for Nolan Arenado, there's no way that they let Justin Turner walk, I don't think. Man, if they got an Arenado, that'd be just unfair, really, to be honest with you, how crazy that would be. So, David, just one quick thing on Arenado then. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Rockies fans are kind of in a tough spot because he signs like an 8-year deal there. It's a ton of money. So they just assume automatically he's here for 8 years. Well, that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get traded with a contract like that, it goes to the next team, correct? Is that how that normally works, So sometimes what these guys do is they sign these big deals, with teams that they don't necessarily think they're going to be there for 7-8 years to set themselves up financially and then put themselves eventually in the spot they want to be with their contract already guaranteed and set. That seems to be what's happening with Arenado here because he seems to be very unhappy here for the last year. It's not really a secret. But, man, I don't see him going to the Dodgers. I just think that's way too crazy of a thing to happen. There was some even wild rumors last year about him getting traded for Chris Bryant, which didn't make any sense either for the Rockies, really. We would love to do that, obviously, but from a Rockies perspective, if he's not happy and you're going to trade him, Chris Bryant would make sense if you got to get something back for him. But that would be a steal for the Cubs, no doubt. Anybody that gets him is really going to be a steal. That's crazy rumors going on about him as well.
Guess where the other rumor has him going, DJ?
Not sure.
The Mets. Yeah. The Mets, they would say the Mets would send them either Dom Smith or Pete Alonso, along with some other prospects. I don't know why you would do that when you could just sign DJ LeMahieu personally. I don't think there's that much difference between the two in value, and I can sign him and not give away anything and keep Dom Smith and keep Pete Alonso because there's probably going to be a DH in the National League anyway. So I don't know why they would do that, but I actually heard that on the radio today.
Wow. That's a crazy one too, man. I did not hear. Man, the Mets are just –
They're on everybody. They're on everybody. What's crazy.
All right, so the last guy I wanted to talk about tonight, Jake Odorizzi. Got anything on him?
Man, every team could honestly use him. Cubs, I've seen lots of rumors to the Cubs. He's an Illinois guy, which also puts him rumored to be with the White Sox. The Angels could use him. The Twins could use him back. The Mets could use him. The Yankees could use him. So if I had to guess at this point, I had him penciled in with the Cubs, just to be honest with you, just based upon what I read. They need pitching. He has the potential to be a value guy where you might just sign him for 1 year, maybe 12, 14 million or something, and then you're done with him. But again, that makes sense for a lot of teams. So I think you could flip a coin with Odorizzi, and you could make a case for all kinds of people.
So I saw a little podcast with Odorizzi as a guest the other day. He brought up a few good points about himself. A lot of people were thinking that he's injury prone. Man, that guy is not injury prone in the least bit. He had freak injuries the last few years. One with a cut on his finger. And he just says that was because he didn't have him calloused up yet. And David, as a pitcher, you got to throw a lot of bullpens before the games start, mainly to get your fingers ready to avoid blisters and you callus them up. And that's a big reason why you throw bullpens as well. Obviously, your arm gets going, but your fingers have got to get there so you don't get blisters during the season. So he had one of those. He had a little bit of a back strain, nothing crazy. and then he took a crazy shot to the chest off of the bat that knocked him out a little bit too. That's just a freak thing, you know. That's not injury prone. Those are just kind of freak injuries. So he's not injury prone. He's been consistent his whole career. You know, he's a little above 500 for his career. He played high school ball at Highland High School, which is just outside of St. Louis, on the east side of St. Louis, which is in Illinois, obviously, since St. Louis is right on the border there. But yeah, I could see him coming home, man. I really could, on one side or the other, no doubt. I've also heard the Giants are high on him. The Twins also want him back. So it's very possible, man, that he goes to a lot of different teams. And like you said, the Mets are in on him. The Blue Jays are in on him too. And the Blue Jays, man, we talked about this too. Their GM understands that he's got a piece in some pitching. He knows that, and he's going to do that. He's going to get another start of this offseason, and he's going to get another bat. I believe if he does those two, it's a very successful offseason, and then they can continue to step forward. And I don't think he should go crazy all out right now. I really don't. I think he should take it gradually up. They're in a great position to do that, and Odorizzi would be a good fill for him. So.
Yeah, absolutely. The Robbie Ray signing for the Blue Jays now makes me scratch my head a little bit, to be honest with you. I know he was cheap, $8 million, but it makes me wonder about the Blue Jays' intentions, to be honest with you. So if you're not going bigger than Robbie Ray, it makes me really wonder how much you believe that you're ready to take the next step. Like you said, maybe you're at step 3 instead of step 4.
Yep.
And so, again, I can see them definitely signing Springer, but not going all in to win it all.
Yep, I agree. Tanner Roark, Robbie Ray, these Band-Aid kind of guys that they're just kind of filling the void for now till they can get the guys that they actually want to go in there behind the Ryu and the stud prospect Peterson, man. So you got those two guys at the top who are obviously animals and going to be the 1-2 guys there for a while. You're going to get your 3 and your 4 eventually here that you want to be there for a long time. Man, the Blue Jays got a good future if they do this right, or they can really mess this up. So they're in a tough spot, man. It's going to be interesting to see how the GM pulls it off, and it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I think, David, you know, maybe not right now, but I think in a few weeks, man, we're going to start to see a few more names go down, and the hot stove will get going a little bit. And, you know, typically, though, in the last few years, it's been drawn out really long, and we'll see how this offseason goes. And some of the bigger free agents didn't sign till really late last year, so this could be a really drawn out process, and it's going to be a long one for some of these guys, and some of these guys may sign this week. So just never really know, and we'll see how it all unfolds. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a late deal. I think a lot of these guys are going to get offers that they're not going to like, and they're going to wait and then realize, hey, we're not going to be getting that money. So, but this is, like I said, this is one of my favorite times of the year, man. I love talking through this stuff, and I've spent hours literally just trying to figure stuff out. So a lot of fun. I've enjoyed talking about it.
You got it, man. So David, you got anything else to add before we wrap it up here tonight?
Lee Salyers, you better be on this next podcast, buddy. You or Matlock, I'm telling you, it better happen.
I'm telling you, man, those guys have got to get on here for sure. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of guys that I've reached out to that are going to do it at some point. So that's very exciting, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt, to catch up with some of these guys. But for sure somebody next week, and then maybe the following week, but we got to get into those Hall of Fame podcasts here pretty quick. And we'll definitely be doing that for you guys here coming up, because they will announce it in the first week of January. So we're going to talk about a lot of these podcasts in December, no doubt. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Make sure that you look over that ballot, David. I want all the guys that you're going to vote for checked off, and we're going to go through the worst guy in that ballot. We'll talk about him for however long we need to talk about him, and we'll just keep going through them all.
I can't wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man, for sure.
Yep.
All right, well, that's it then. We'll wrap it up, and, thank you for all of our 14, 15 fans. Somewhere in there, we keep getting consistently these week podcasts. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and everybody have a great day.
See you guys.